Susan Mitchell, the self-proclaimed queen of Willow Creek Estates, smashed my trash can 57 times with her $60,000 Escalade, so I swapped it for a concrete beast and let her wreck her own SUV. What began as early morning chaos in suburban Colorado spiraled into criminal charges, a $12,000 settlement, and a brutal lesson in messing with the wrong neighbor. Imagine this: the sharp snap of plastic exploding cuts through the early morning quiet, followed by the screech of metal as her pearl-white Escalade peels out, leaving my garbage strewn across the driveway like a trash tornado. Bullies like Susan never expect pushback, especially not the kind backed by cold, hard concrete. By the end, she totaled her vehicle, exposed a $47,000 embezzlement scam, and learned some neighbors don't bow to fake authority. What would you do if someone turned your property into their personal demolition derby every morning? Drop a comment with your town. Let's see if this HOA insanity is spreading. I'm David Carter, and this nightmare kicked off in Willow Creek Estates, a cookie-cutter HOA neighborhood in suburban Colorado where lawns must be perfect and mailboxes match. I moved into a corner lot house 3 years ago, hoping for a fresh start with my teenagers, Lily, 16, and Ethan, 14. What I didn't expect was Susan Mitchell, a widow who crowned herself the neighborhood's compliance officer, a fake title not found in our HOA bylaws. Susan rules with an iron grip, driving a massive pearl-white Escalade and cozying up to HOA President Robert Langley, making her untouchable. My corner lot puts my trash can right by the curb for Wednesday morning pickup, exactly where Susan struts her early morning power walk. Trouble's brewing, and it's about to get messy. It was a Wednesday morning in late summer, kids scrambling for school, when a sharp crack split the air in Willow Creek Estates. I bolted outside to find my new trash can shattered, garbage strewn across my driveway like a trash explosion. Susan Mitchell backed up her pearl-white Escalade, rolling down her window with a smirk. "These streets are so narrow," she said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. I kept my cool, cleaning up the mess while Lily and Ethan watched, mortified. 3 more hits that week. Same early morning routine, her engine roaring, plastic crunching, then silence as she sped off. By the next Wednesday, I was suspicious. Mrs. Eleanor, my neighbor across Cedar Lane, confirmed it. "She drives close to your ken on purpose," she whispered. "Plenty of room on the other side." This wasn't an accident, it was war. I cornered Susan Mitchell on a Cedar Lane sidewalk during her evening patrol in Willow Creek Estates. "Hey, about the trash can issue," I started, but she cut me off with a fake smile. "David, these streets aren't made for oversized bins blocking traffic. Try adjusting your timing," she sneered, as if the garbage truck could wait. That night, I dug into Willow Creek's HOA bylaws and found no rules on trash can timing or materials, just a note about hiding them except on pickup day. I'd already replaced 4 cans, costing me $92, and the stress was hitting Lily and Ethan hard, with my custody case under scrutiny. Then Susan's demeanor shifted. Her early morning demolition runs came with direct eye contact and a smug grin, screaming she knew exactly what she was doing. This wasn't just a dispute, it was a challenge, and I was ready to fight back. Early fall in Willow Creek Estates, and Susan Mitchell cranked up her attack, from smashing trash cans to psychological warfare. I came home to a certified letter from the HOA, its official tone screaming trouble. Improper trash receptacle placement creating a traffic hazard, citing some vague bylaw, demanding compliance within 72 hours or face $50 daily fines. Susan had fast-tracked this while the board was still rattled from our last meeting's evidence. That evening, I dug into Colorado's municipal codes, uncovering gold. City rules required trash cans within 3 feet of the curb on pickup day, and HOAs had no power over public right-of-way. Over the weekend, I built my defense, installing a $47 Ring doorbell camera to catch Susan's morning rampages and securing a survey proving my compliance. Mrs. Eleanor, my neighbor, hesitantly signed a witness statement, whispering, "This isn't right." Susan thought she had me cornered, but I was ready to flip the script. Susan Mitchell turned Willow Creek Estates into a digital battlefield, flooding the local app with rants about reckless homeowners and my dangerous trash can endangering kids. Her 3 loyalists backed her up, but most neighbors saw through her nonsense, sparking heated online clashes. Then, a twist revealed her desperation. My City Hall contact, Tom, called Wednesday morning with a bombshell for complaints about my corner lot, each with different witness angles, but clearly written by one person, all filed in a 15-minute frenzy late at night. Either your neighborhood's got synchronized insomniacs, Tom laughed, or Susan's working overtime to frame you. Her smear campaign was unraveling, but what was she hiding? At the evening board meeting in Willow Creek Estates Neighborhood Hall, I arrived armed with a stack of evidence. A record 12 homeowners filled the room, making Robert Langley, the HOA president, fidget nervously. Susan Mitchell sat at the board table, her navy blazer crisp, but her trembling hands betrayed her. She knew trouble was coming. When old business was called, I stood, voice steady. I'm addressing the trash can violation notice. The room fell silent as I presented city codes, proving my compliance, and survey results backing me up. I dropped a bombshell. My attorney, Laura Bennett, finds your selective enforcement very interesting. Susan's face paled. Robert stammered, "We'll review this further." Translation: they were cornered, and the room knew it. But Susan wasn't done fighting yet. As we left the neighborhood hall in Willow Creek Estates after the evening board meeting, Susan Mitchell cornered me in the parking lot, her eyes blazing under the flickering lights. "You think you're clever, David?" she hissed, loud enough for nearby homeowners to freeze. "People like you ruin decent neighborhoods, ignoring rules. This is just the start." Mrs. Alvarez gasped. Mike Delgado fumbled with his keys. The venom in her words carried ugly undertones, and my phone, tucked in my pocket, recorded every syllable. That night, Lily asked why Susan hated us. Ethan feared we'd have to move. I reassured them, but the costs were mounting. 3 trashed cans, hours of evidence gathering, and legal fees. Whispers of board overreach spread through the community. Susan's meltdown exposed her true motive: power, not safety. She just ignited a rebellion she couldn't control. Mid-fall in Willow Creek Estates, Susan Mitchell shifted tactics. Instead of her usual early morning trash can assaults, she cruised past my bin at a snail's pace, eyeing it like a predator plotting her next move. Trouble was brewing. While I savored my small victory, Susan unleashed a barrage of HOA violations, nitpicking every detail. A notice hit me for grass 0.25 inches too tall, my mailboxes unauthorized faded blue, and 3 tiny screen tiers, each with a $50 fine and a 10-day deadline. I struck back, spending a Saturday documenting identical issues across 14 homes on Cedar Lane. Robert Langley's lawn was shaggier, Mrs. Jenkins' mailbox matched mine, and half the street had screen damage. Yet only my house drew Susan's wrath. Her selective targeting was clear, but what was her endgame? Over coffee at Lowe's in Willow Creek Estates, I vented about Susan Mitchell's trash can attacks to Frank Russo, a concrete expert. His grin sparked an idea. "No city code bans concrete trash cans," he said. "As long as it holds garbage, you're set." That lit a fire. I built a 60-pound concrete fortress with steel rebar, disguised as a standard bin, for just $47, far less than the $350 in fines and replacements Susan's campaign was costing me. Wednesday evening, I documented identical violations across the neighborhood, then filed a formal HOA complaint for selective enforcement. Bureaucrats hate their own rules turned against them, and my move boxed the board in. Enforce fairly or admit they were targeting me. Susan's game was about to hit a solid wall. Digging into Susan Mitchell's violation spree in Willow Creek Estates revealed a chilling pattern of 67 notices issued over the past year. 49 targeted single parents, elderly residents, or minorities, while only 18 hit longtime homeowners. The bias was blatant, screaming lawsuit potential. The idea of Susan facing a civil rights attorney sparked my first grin in weeks. Friday evening, I kicked off my counterattack, building a concrete trash can in my garage with Lily and Ethan, who laughed as we mixed cement to classic rock. The design was clever. A 60-pound steel-reinforced beast disguised as a standard bin, ready to deliver Susan a lesson in physics. Her discriminatory game was about to crash into an immovable truth. Monday dawn in Willow Creek Estates. I set my concrete trash can in its usual spot on Cedar Lane. Early morning, Susan Mitchell's Escalade rumbled up, but slower, cautious, as if she sensed a trap. She hit the can at 15 miles per hour, expecting plastic to shatter, but a solid thunk echoed instead, followed by metal screeching against concrete. Her SUV's running board crumpled like foil. My fortress stood unfazed. From my kitchen, I watched her freeze for 30 seconds, baffled, before trying again. Same result. More dense, no damage to my can. It was all legal, no rules broken, just a smarter trash can. Over the week, Susan's desperate collisions scarred her pearl-white Escalade with $800 in damage, while my bin shrugged off scuffs. Neighbors whispered, her control slipping. She was wrecking herself, and the real fight was just beginning. By midfall in Willow Creek Estates, Susan Mitchell had gone from HOA tyrant to obsessive sleuth, fixated on my concrete trash can. Her battered pearl-white Escalade prowled Cedar Lane at odd hours, a dented stalker in the night. Wednesday morning, Mrs. Eleanor called, whispering, "David, she was in your driveway last night with a flashlight, trying to weigh your trash can." I stifled a laugh. Susan, sneaking around at midnight, desperate to crack the case. Her obsession grew. Mike Delgado said she grilled him at Lowe's about concrete purchases, and she scoured my social media for clues. Then, Thursday evening, a weary inspector named Carl arrived, sent by Susan's latest complaint about unauthorized concrete structures. He glanced at my trash can, shook his head, and said, "It's just a garbage bin. No violations." Susan's schemes were crumbling, but how far would her desperation drive her? Susan Mitchell doubled down in Willow Creek Estates, hitting me with an HOA notice demanding access to inspect my property for safety violations. Clearly her work, stamped by Robert Langley. My research on property rights paid off. I knew HOAs couldn't snoop without a court order or emergency. I fired back. Inspect my legal trash can from the sidewalk or get a warrant. Her frustration was palpable. Meanwhile, her Escalade, now a dented mess with a sagging running board and cracked bumper, advertised my concrete can's victory with every early morning crash. Neighbors buzzed. Mrs. Alvarez timed Susan's futile collisions, and Birch Avenue teens bet on the outcomes. Over dinner, Lily groaned, "Kids at school call us the Concrete Can family." Ethan grinned, "Dad, can we sell tickets to this circus?" The neighborhood was watching, but Susan's next move would push her over the edge. After a neighborhood gathering in Willow Creek Estates, Karen Thompson, the board's lone voice of reason, pulled me aside, whispering urgently, "David, Susan's scheming with Robert Langley for stricter enforcement, property inspections, material bans, even contractor checks." Her bombshell hit harder. Susan was pushing shady maintenance contracts with an unknown company, her proposals suspiciously polished. That night, I dove into Colorado's public contract database, suspecting profit, not power, drove her obsession. By Sunday night, I uncovered a scam that dwarfed her trash can fixation. Susan wasn't just a control freak. She was funneling HOA funds into a crooked scheme, and my concrete can had unwittingly put her empire at risk. But what would she do when cornered? Sunday night in Willow Creek Estates, I ditched helping Lily with homework to scour Colorado's public contract database, chasing Karen Thompson's tip about Susan Mitchell's shady deals. A search for Mitchell hit paydirt. Mitchell Construction LLC, formed 6 months ago, with Susan as 40% owner and her husband Thomas as president. The timeline chilled me. Company started in late spring, first HOA contract bid by midsummer, and her harassment of me kicked off in late summer. Digging deeper, I found Mitchell Construction snagged 7 HOA contracts worth $23,400, landscaping, sidewalks, playground fixes, each underbid by just $50 to $100, a rigged game. Susan voted on every contract, funneling our dues into her family's pockets, a blatant conflict of interest. The evidence, business records, meeting minutes, bank slips, piled up, screaming fraud. Susan's empire was built on lies, and I was about to blow it wide open. The timeline in Willow Creek Estates exposed Susan Mitchell's true motives. My polite chat about her trash can attacks came 12 days after I questioned the HOA's bloated maintenance budget at an early fall board meeting. My concrete can wasn't just thwarting her morning rampages. It was guarding proof of her embezzling from 127 homeowners. The stakes skyrocketed. Fraud, financial mismanagement, and automatic board removal loomed. Susan's harassment wasn't about rules. It was a desperate bid to bury her scam. I printed the evidence, backed it up on 3 cloud services, and emailed it to attorney Laura Bennett with a note. Urgent criminal implications. Susan thought she was bullying a nobody over a trash can, but she just stepped into a fight that could ruin her. Monday dawn in Willow Creek Estates. I watched from my kitchen as Susan Mitchell's Escalade slammed into my concrete trash can. Her SUV, now scarred with $1,200 in damage, groaned while my fortress stood unmoved, a silent taunt. My focus shifted, no longer about cans or bylaws, but justice and exposing a bully. Susan was about to learn her victims could hit back harder. The real war was just igniting. Wednesday evening, my garage in Willow Creek Estates morphed into a tense command center. Folding tables replaced tool racks, and a makeshift evidence board, red string crisscrossing construction paper, dominated the space. By early evening, the team assembled. Mrs. Eleanor arrived first, gripping a thermos, her eyes sharp with resolve. Mike Delgado followed, tool belt clanking from his maintenance shift. Karen Thompson hauled in a stack of HOA financials, pilfered from board records. Frank Russo sauntered in last, donut box in hand, grinning like this was a game night. "Here's the deal," I said, pinning the final timeline to the wall. The board screamed scandal. $23,000 in shady contracts, 7 conflict of interest violations, 47 harassment reports, and Susan Mitchell's battered Escalade as proof of her unraveling. Karen's eyes widened at the financials. I knew those contracts stank, but this? It's a machine. Frank studied the SUV damage photos. That bumper's a $2,000 fix. Alignment shot, tires won't last a month. Susan's lies were crumbling. What else was she hiding? Wednesday evening, the Willow Creek Estates garage buzzed with urgency as we mapped our attack. Mike Delgado would shadow Susan Mitchell, logging any retaliation moves. Mrs. Eleanor would rally neighbors door to door for support. Karen Thompson would push board members for a financial audit. Frank Russo would analyze construction-related evidence. Laura Bennett confirmed our legal grounds: harassment, fraud, misconduct. But timing was everything. File too soon, Susan could shred evidence. Delay, and her cover-up might solidify. Our plan hit from all angles. Lawsuits to choke her legally, petitions to stir the community, media to draw city scrutiny, and audits to unravel her finances. One wrong move, and we'd lose the edge. Could we pull it off before Susan struck back? Tuesday midday, I hit the streets of Willow Creek Estates with slick presentation materials and hard evidence. The response was electric. 89 signatures for property rights, 34 for financial audits, 12 volunteers for the evening board meeting. Mrs. Alvarez on Cedar Lane nearly shut me out, then signed the petition, raging about Susan Mitchell fining her for a trash can out minutes early. Like she's got a stopwatch, she snapped. Mapping showed Susan's loyalists were old guard homeowners dodging rules, while new residents feared retaliation. Most demanded accountability. Media prep took days. Channel 5's Emily Chin got a press kit with timelines, legal opinions, and video of Susan's SUV crashes. The Willow Creek Transparency Facebook group surged to 67 members in days, neighbors posting tales of harassment and shady finances. A viral video of Susan's morning routine, set to circus music, lit up Boulder's social scene. Wednesday morning, Susan's 53rd collision left her Escalade's headlight dangling. Kids gathered at bus stops to watch the chaos. Lily said her school friends dubbed our house Trashcan Fortress. Ethan was charging classmates to see the crash montage. The story was spiraling beyond Colorado. Would Susan crack before we did? Sunday night in Willow Creek Estates. Our plan was locked. Board meeting Tuesday evening. Media hits Wednesday morning. Criminal complaints filed Thursday. A coalition of 118 residents, 17 ready to speak, stood united. Susan Mitchell was clueless about the storm coming. But late Friday evening, Susan snapped. Her harassment spiked from petty to reckless. At midnight, a spray painter woke me. Motion lights caught a figure defacing my concrete trash can with mauve and garish orange. I grabbed my phone, but they vanished, leaving Susan's pearl-white Escalade on camera, parked 3 houses down. Spray paint washes off concrete fast, but high-def security footage? That's permanent. What would Susan try next to save herself? Monday dawn in Willow Creek Estates brought fresh harassment. An anonymous tip to the gas company claimed I was digging near utility lines. The inspector, after 2 hours of checks in my Cedar Lane yard, found nothing. Whoever called this and needs help, mental or optical, he said, packing up. Tuesday midday, Mike Delgado cornered me at Lowe's, face grim. David, Susan hired Riverside Security to watch your house. $200 a day over a trash can. She's lost it. But her surveillance cut both ways. My upgraded cameras caught Susan's late-night drive-bys and frantic photo sessions. Her unraveling was on full display, recorded in crisp detail. How much further would she go? Tuesday midday in Willow Creek Estates. Lily came home from school shaken. She'd overheard Susan Mitchell whispering to a parent about dangerous influences unfit for kids, her words dripping with veiled racial jabs aimed at me. The threat to my custody battle stung. That evening, I hired Diane Harper, retired detective, for $200 a day to document Susan's stalking and assess her escalating threats. By Friday evening, sabotage surged. Acid splashed my concrete trash can, leaving a faint stain. Anonymous complaints about my lawn and permits bombarded Boulder's city office. Fake reviews tanked my business online. Then Ethan found a GPS tracker, blinking, magnetic, illegal, clinging to my work truck's undercarriage. "Dad, what's this?" he asked, voice tight. I snapped photos, peeled it off, and drove to the police. Officer Ryan Castillo's face hardened. "Mr. Carter, this is criminal, stalking, surveillance, harassment." Susan was playing a dangerous game. What was her next move? Late Friday evening in Willow Creek Estates, Susan Mitchell's insurance scam surfaced. She filed a $3,200 claim, blaming road hazards for her Escalade's damage. My Cedar Lane Ring camera told a different story. 53 deliberate trash can collisions, backed by witness statements and damage assessments. When State Farm's investigator called, I handed over the evidence. "This isn't road damage," she snapped. "It's intentional destruction. Claim denied. Fraud unit notified." The Willow Creek Transparency Group hit 94 members, buzzing with stories of Susan's overreach. Mrs. Jenkins, cited for rose bushes. The Wilson family on Cedar Lane fined for chalk art. Even Robert Langley began pulling away from her. Saturday morning, Collision 57 left Susan's bumper in my driveway. Neighbors watched her scramble to collect the pieces, a desperate figure unraveling. By Sunday night, our case was ironclad. Criminal acts recorded, fraud exposed, community united. Tuesday's board meeting loomed. Would Susan sense the trap closing in? Monday dawn in Willow Creek Estates, hours before the evening board meeting. Susan Mitchell played her final card. Robert Langley called an emergency closed-door session at the neighborhood hall, citing community safety risks. His voicemail dripped with panic. Inside, 3 board members and attorney William Kessler, billing $400 an hour, scrambled to contain the fallout. Through the blinds, I glimpsed Susan waving papers like a white flag. Karen Thompson texted updates. "Susan's accusing you of terrorist threats, wants emergency powers to seize dangerous property." Kessler looked ready to bolt. Their cover-up was sloppy, backdated conflict of interest forms for Mitchell Construction, betrayed by email timestamps. Public minutes exposed the fraud. Meanwhile, investigator Lisa Navarro subpoenaed HOA records and Susan's insurance communications, her paper trail unraveling fast. Would Susan's desperate gambit collapse before the meeting? Tuesday midday in Willow Creek Estates, Thomas Mitchell, Susan's husband, called me, his voice a hushed plea. "David, she's blown $8,000 on lawyers, surveillance, repairs. Insurance dropped us. The business is tanking. What'll make this stop?" I didn't flinch. "Thomas, Susan stalked my family, trashed my property, committed fraud, and embezzled from 127 homeowners. This doesn't vanish with a check." 2 hours before the evening board meeting, Susan's desperation peaked. She filed an emergency restraining order with fake voicemails, doctored photos, and invented witnesses. Judge Karen Williams tossed it out. "Ms. Mitchell, these are edited recordings, staged photos, and fake witnesses. That's contempt. Last warning." Susan's trouble snowballed. Investigator Lisa Navarro was building a fraud case. The DA eyed harassment charges, and the IRS probed unreported contract income. Could Susan escape the noose tightening around her? By late afternoon, the neighborhood hall parking lot in Willow Creek Estates was jammed, cars spilling along Cedar Lane as residents hauled lawn chairs and signs. Channel 5's news van rolled in, followed by Channel 9 and a City Pulse reporter. Inside, 118 residents crammed a room meant for 40, tension crackling like static. Susan Mitchell arrived late with William Kessler, her black dress a stark contrast to her trembling hands. Robert Langley fidgeted with his tie, visibly rattled. Kessler's attempt to dismiss frivolous complaints crashed when Mrs. Eleanor stood, clutching witness statements. "Who's committing fraud and embezzlement here?" she demanded. The room roared with applause. 17 neighbors, armed with videos, contract analyses, and criminal complaints, were ready to expose Susan's schemes. 3 boxes of evidence loomed on the table, but the real blow was still coming. What would break Susan first? Mid-evening, the neighborhood hall in Willow Creek Estates was a pressure cooker. 127 residents packed a room meant for 40, media from Channel 5 and City Pulse buzzing. Susan Mitchell arrived in black, hands shaking, flanked by William Kessler. Robert Langley, sweating, opened the meeting. My concrete trash can, Exhibit A, stood by the podium. At 6:45, Officer Ryan Castillo strode in with a warrant for Susan's insurance fraud and stalking. Her face paled. Kessler whispered frantically. Langley looked ill. Mrs. Eleanor's voice cut through. "Who's the real criminal here?" Applause erupted. I stood, presentation board in hand. "This is about corruption," I declared, revealing 57 collisions, an illegal GPS tracker, vandalism, and $23,400 funneled to Susan's family business. The projector flashed damning financials. The crowd gasped at 12 minutes of Susan's crash videos. "Ms. Mitchell," I said, cameras rolling, "you spent $3,400 on lawyers, wrecked your $60,000 SUV, and stolen $47,000 from us." The room exploded. Mrs. Alvarez shouted. Teens clapped. Susan snapped, screaming about standards and certain elements. Her racial jabs caught on live TV. She lunged for my boards, but Mike Delgado and neighbors restrained her. Mascara streaked. She shrieked about protecting property values. Karen Thompson moved to suspend Susan, unanimous at 4-0, as Castillo cuffed her. Justice landed hard. But was this truly the end? Wednesday morning, after the explosive board meeting in Willow Creek Estates, Susan Mitchell's empire crumbled. Her 2-line resignation, citing a hostile environment, landed by midday. By Friday, the DA filed insurance fraud charges, 6 months jail time, and $5,000 fines loomed. Her insurance license was yanked, and Mitchell Construction's certification was suspended. An emergency HOA audit by Jenkins and Associate CPAs clawed back $47,000 in shady contracts, landing every homeowner $170 refund check by the winter holidays. Thomas Mitchell called, voice broken. "The $12,500 settlement's mailed," he said. "Susan's fleeing to Florida." Pity flickered, then faded. Memories of the GPS tracker, fake claims, and relentless harassment burned too deep. Had Susan's schemes finally cost her everything? Karen Thompson swept the special election for board president in Willow Creek Estates, her transparency platform earning a unanimous vote. The new board rolled out conflict of interest rules, monthly financials, and open contractor bidding. The playground renovation, funded by recovered $47,000, saw Lily and Ethan designing equipment alongside once skeptical neighbors, a quiet victory. Carter versus Willow Creek Estates set a precedent, cited in 12 Colorado property rights cases. The state's HOA Accountability Act mandated audits, hailed as a gold standard. Channel 5's expose won an Emmy, and Emily Chun tapped me for HOA reform insights. The collision videos hit 200,000 YouTube views, sparking resistance from Boulder to Denver. My concrete trash can, now in the neighborhood hall lobby with the 2023 Property Rights Protected plaque, became a legend. The Concrete Can Days Festival, launched in late summer, drew 800 for bounce houses and homeowner rights workshops. The $12,500 settlement funded the David Carter Property Rights Scholarship, aiding 4 students who challenge injustice. Lily's essay on fighting corruption won journalism program acceptances. Ethan's Suburban Justice YouTube channel took off. My custody case strengthened, and my electrical business boomed with referrals. But could our triumph inspire others to fight back?